And a very good evening, and thank you for being a part of our network. We've heard Vodacom is now joining MTN in taking their regulator to court. In the last few days, we're also told Ugandans could be losing Facebook in their country. Today, we'll have a discussion on how South Africans are using e-commerce sites. The African Bloggers Awards are taking place this year. Organizers are in the studio to talk to us about them. SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter, News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Let's go to your technology and social media news. Latest research shows that more than half of adults in South Africa are using WhatsApp. This is more popular than social network Facebook in the country now. Locally developed Mixit is not far behind. Here's Telecom with the details.
According to research by Worldwide Works and Fuseware, the social messaging market in South Africa is characterized by a strong urban-rural divide. Age is another major differentiator, especially among Facebook and Mixit users. The report also says more than half of South African urban adults with smartphones use WhatsApp. This figure is at over 10 million. Interestingly, Facebook, one of WhatsApp's main competitors, has recently announced it will acquire WhatsApp. But while WhatsApp's sudden popularity is the key focus of the report, Facebook still dominates the social networking scene on South African phones. Facebook has a market share of 45%. Local app Mixit, which was once the most preferred instant messaging platform, remains stable at over 25% of adult smartphone consumers using it. BlackBerry, Messenger, BBM and Twitter hover around the 20% margin of the mobile market share. This while Google Plus has a market share of around 32%.
During the week, Vodacom said it's taking the Independent Communications Authority of South Africa, ICASA, to court. Like rival MTN, they're also unhappy with the regulator's plan to cut costs charged to smaller networks if calls are carried by the bigger ones.
Lobby group Right to Know campaign has called on MTN and Vodacom to drop their court cases against ICASA. MTN and Vodacom are opposed to ICASA's new mobile termination rates. These are fees that networks bill each other to carry calls over one another's networks. This would see emerging networks paying a lower rate of 20 cents per minute, while networks with a large market share would pay 44 cents a minute, only a slight increase from the current rate of 40 cents. Both MTN and Vodacom have attempted to justify their legal actions by arguing that ICASA's new pricing structure is somehow arbitrary and unfair. ICASA's regulations are an extension of existing policy that started in 2010. The regulator did a cost study and determined that the market lacked a necessary competition to bring down the cost of communication. When MTN and Vodacom hit the mobile scene in 1994, there were no such regulation guiding mobile interconnect fees, so their duopoly emerged unfettered by competition. When Cell C was launched in 2001, MTN and Vodacom increased mobile termination rates from 20 cents in July 1999 to R1.19 in July 2001, nearly a 500 increase. This favors duopoly because most of their subscribers' calls were on network. This continued until ICASA intervened in 2010, again in the face of the March protests from MTN and Vodacom.
Windhoek will host its first TEDx event on Thursday, 6 March. The theme the Namibian capital has chosen is Unleashing Potential. TED Talks take place all over the world. They bring together a group of thinkers in various fields. Namibia will have some thinkers from the country's tech spaces too. TEDx Windhoek organizer Alisa Amopolo sent us this video. She talks about some of the speakers.
The Uyelele Solutions. It's a Namibian entrepreneur who founded the lighting project to diminish shake fires. He's going to giving us a very inspirational talk. We also have the first Namibian woman to have founded a private equity firm. Now, this has become the largest private equity firm in Namibia, and she's coming to share her wisdom for all these young, aspiring entrepreneurs. We equally have a Namibian young emerging leader who's based in Johannesburg. She's homebred and born, and she is flying in to give a phenomenal talk about what it means to be a 21st century child in Africa. And equally, we do have a young Namibian wellness innovator who developed a solution for African women to look after their health, to live a more active life.
There are many reports saying Facebook is threatening to pull out of Uganda. This is because of the country's new anti-gay laws. The popular social network also owns Instagram and recently purchased mobile phone chat app WhatsApp. So should Facebook indeed pull out of Uganda, then people in that country will also lose WhatsApp and Instagram. Some say these reports aren't telling the truth.
Uganda's anti-gay bill that has been recently signed into law has had the world up in arms fighting for the equality of all people regardless of their sexual orientation. These uprisings saw multitudes of people, including artists from all over the world, rushing to social networks to air out their concerns about the latter. Reports earlier this week claimed that even Facebook threatened to suspend their services from the East African country over these anti-gay laws. The social media giant's chief operating officer, Sheryl Sandberg, was quoted as saying, "When we launched Facebook, we thought it as a platform to advance people's rights and liberties of self-expression in all form. We were equally shocked to learn that Uganda as a country had gone ahead to sign the anti-homosexuality bill into a law." However, London-based gay rights publication Gay Star News slammed these reports, deeming Sandberg's quote as a hoax. The article goes on to say that Ugandan gay rights activists responded fearfully to the fake Facebook quotes, as they feel that the social network is one of the platforms that allows them to fully express their feelings on the newly signed law and also enables them to continue the fight for equality.
Kenya is planning to stop physical money payments in the country's public transport industry. Those using matatus will only pay through M-Pesa on their mobile phones. Sarah Kimani is in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, for us.
In downtown Nairobi, at a bus terminus, money is not physically changing hands as passengers prepare for a trip upcountry. Make no mistake, it is not a free ride. Technology is taking over Kenya's public transport system.
You book me through M-Pesa.
Guardian Coach is way ahead of the July deadline by the Kenyan government banning cash payment on public transport vehicles.
The matatu conductor will have a unit himself, and we call it a till, but it's actually just another phone. And you'll just do a normal, Lipa na M-Pesa transaction.
Mobile phone companies have issued various businesses with unique codes known as till numbers. It is this number that the consumer keys on the phone to make mobile money transfers. The money goes directly to the business owner's account. The move is meant to lock in revenue for Kenya's taxman, the Kenya Revenue Authority, as it will be able to track data on tax compliance. For the vehicle owners, the system means a more transparent way of doing business.
It's some kind of accountability, because with cash, you find that there are a lot of problems associated with handling cash, especially during rush periods.
According to the economic survey of last year, Kenya's public transport is worth about $2.4 billion. Telecommunication companies are angling for a piece of this money. Safaricom's mobile money transfer service, M-Pesa revenues, stood at $247 million last year. The mobile money transfer service has managed to do what banks in Kenya failed to do for years.
The Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, has fined 3 mobile phone network operators for offering poor service. MTN, Airtel and Globacom have to pay a combined amount of over 40 million rand. Now, the 3 have also been told not to sell mobile phone SIM cards in March. This is part of their penalty. They have until March 7 to pay the amount and will face additional daily charges if they fail to do this. Globacom is a Nigerian company, Airtel is from India, and MTN is a South African network provider. Now, the world's foremost mobile congress took place in Spain in the last week. Here's the wrap of some of the most talked about products on offer.
The first smartphone on the market to have a built-in heart sensor, as Samsung continues its push to attract an increasingly fitness-conscious consumer base. Samsung unveiled the latest addition to its Galaxy smartphone lineup in the last week. The new model is waterproof, dustproof, and features an improved camera.
I think we've only just begun to see the new use cases. I mean, tonight we've talked about the health monitoring, the heart rate monitor inside of the phone and also in the wearable devices. We're going to see great new innovations with people who take health and fitness to whole new levels.
If monitoring your heart rate using a smartphone is not your thing, fitness can now be measured by the clothes you wear. A new fabric designed by French company Citizen Sciences can monitor everything from body heat to respiration thanks to sensors sewn into the shirt.
It's very useful for, of course, to follow the healthcare problems and its market. Of course, it's a big opportunity to use this product.
And continuing with the health theme from this year's Mobile World Congress, smartphones can now help improve how you brush your teeth. The app displays brushing progress in real time, telling the user when to move to a different part of the mouth and warning if they're brushing too hard.
SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter, News Network at sabc.co.za and email. Let's take a short break and we'll return with the African Bloggers Awards.
The new look Hansa, designed to celebrate 20 years of freedom and the next generation of dreamers.
Good evening and welcome to yet another edition of Sports Live, the show that brings you the latest local and international news, live interviews with the who's who in sport. He's the first South African to wear a yellow jersey that was at the Tour de France this year.
It's the first time that we get a boxer who's recognized by the Ring magazine as the best fighter in the planet to visit our country.
And he's very close to world record pace. And in fact, it is a new world record.
When you cross a line, what went through one's mind?
None of the four of us knew who had won. The scoreboard is always on the left, but all of us tend to the right. No, we just waited for the country to go down. RSA.
That's Sports Live, daily at 8:30 p.m. on SABC News.
Now the first African Bloggers Awards are taking place soon. We'll get to that discussion in a minute. First, here's some background on blogging.
You've seen the word, you've seen the websites, and you may even have one. But have you ever wondered, what's the big deal about blogs? This is Blogs in Plain English. The 21st century marked the point where news became both professional and personal. A new kind of website called a weblog, or blog for short, came onto the scene that let anyone be a reporter and publisher, often for free. As blogs became popular, they created millions of news sources that gave everyone an audience for their own version of news. Here's how blogs work. Blogs are websites that are organized by blog posts. These are individual news stories, like articles in the paper. Bloggers simply fill out a form like this one to post a news story. With the click of a button, the blog post appears at the top of the web page, just above yesterday's news. Over time, the blog becomes a collection of these posts, all archived for easy reference. Also, each blog post can become a discussion through comments left by readers. Blogs make the news a two-way street.
The first African Bloggers Awards are to take place in South Africa. This plan is to recognize some of the best bloggers from the continent. Joining us in the studio to talk about the event is Murray Legg. He's the co-founder of the African Bloggers Awards. Hello and welcome.
Thanks so much.
Now, why did you decide to launch these?
Well, I think we know that Africa's a continent that's very social, and blogs form the basis of having a network and a platform to be able to disseminate information to audiences. there's no credibility necessarily behind that from an audience point of view. So we thought it would be a great thing to be able to reward bloggers that engage well with their audience and be able to celebrate that.
Now you're saying there's no credibility. So why would you want to reward somebody who is not seen to have credible information?
Well, I think the challenge is to be able to separate out those that are credible and those that are not. So part of our entry process requires that you sign up to Webfluential, which is a platform that can separate that. It can show you an engagement of an audience with a blog as well. So it's not necessarily just about the biggest blogs that are going to win. The ones that are producing the best content that its audience appreciates the most are going to be the winners.
Now, is it just citizens that can enter, or can companies enter their own blogs and bloggers as well?
We launched on Wednesday, and we've seen company blogs and personal blogs being entered. It's open to any African who has a blog, be it corporate or personal, and as wide, as diverse in terms of content as they may like.
That's very interesting. Would you just take us through some of the categories?
We've tried to go as wide as possible. So we're trying to have something for everyone in our 36 different categories.
36?
So it's spanning from things that we think Africa would like, so music, dance, lifestyle, all the way through to technology, news, and even place for expats if they.
Is it specific countries that can enter, or is it everybody in Africa?
There is a specific category where you can enter just for your country's blog, but you may wish to enter additional categories as well.
Now, that's huge if you're allowing the whole of the African continent to enter. So how's the judging process going to go?
Well, we're expecting sort of in the region of about 100,000 entries. As I mentioned earlier, Webfluential is an algorithm that is able to sort through the credible blogs and be able to produce the winners on that. So a requirement to enter is to sign up for that platform. And then it's really quite straightforward for us to come out with the winners.
What's your take on African bloggers?
I think it's a great step forward. I think Africa is starting to have its time in the sun. I think the rest of the world wants to know about what's happening in Africa, and I think blogs are a credible source of information to be able to communicate not just inside Africa but also to the rest of the world.
Now, could you just tell us when the deadline is and when this event is supposed to take place?
So deadline is quite soon. It's on the 9th of March, and then it'll allow us some time to be able to sort through the winners, and we expect to have an announcement on the 14th of April and a major announcement of the best African blog, the best African Instagrammer and YouTuber then on the 18th of April.
How is this announcement going to be made? Is it going to be online? Is it going to be an event?
So through our Twitter handle, African_blogger, we'll be doing the announcement there. There may be a ceremony as well. At this point, we're trying to secure a sponsor for that. But at this point, it'll just be announced on the website.
No sponsor just yet?
Not just yet. We've got a few ones that are almost at the finish line, but still looking.
Well, good work on praising Africa's bloggers there. Thank you very much.
Great.
All right, so Murray Legg is co-founder of the African Bloggers Awards. Now remember to send us your videos telling us about your favorite apps. You can do this through Dropbox. We are on News Network at sabc.co.za. You can also upload them on YouTube and alert us on Twitter or Facebook. Today, Khutatso Madisa tells us about his favorite app, Twitter. It's an amateur video from a viewer, and the sound is not that great.
Twitter is one application I can't really live without because I associate it mostly with my career, journalism. I get all the trending topics instantly. I love live tweeting mostly because that's where I gain my confidence, inform the world of new things that are said by the president, by the public protector, all these things. And I keep gaining followers, so I associate it mostly with my life.
Zoom into Africa. This is Ghana. The president is Mr. John Dramani Mahama.
Ghana got independent from the United Kingdom on 6 March in 1957. The population is more than 25 million people. One of Ghana's major languages spoken is English. Monetary unit is cedi.
Good day and welcome to yet another evening of Afro Showbiz News. Award-winning French film Rust and Bone has opened in South Africa. The film was nominated for this year's Golden Globe Awards in the United States of America. The heart of Mali fashion is to use hand-dyed fabrics. The method of West African nation is one of the most rare ways of coloring the country's Basin fabric. The film The President, How Do I Know It's Time to Go, has caused controversy in Cameroon. It is based on the true story of the country's president.
That's Afro Showbiz News, Saturdays 7:30 p.m. on SABC News.
Welcome back. Now, new research shows that South Africans shopping online prefer local websites. IAB South Africa and Effective Measure say the number of people making online transactions is also steadily increasing. Joining us from Cape Town to talk about this is Alan Morrissey, South Africa's Effective Measure Country Managing Director. Thank you for being a part of our network, Alan. Hello.
Hi there, how are you doing?
I'm all right. Now, what are some of the major findings of your research?
Well, it was 10,000 responses on the research, and it's obviously showing that majority of the online kind of e-commerce users are higher income and highly educated, also a bit older. We've got about 50% of the responses were over 45 years old. 46% of the responses had an undergraduate degree or more, and about 60% of the users have a monthly household income of 15,000 Rand or more. So in terms of the South African market, it's quite a higher income LSM kind of group.
Do you know why that is? Does your research go into maybe perhaps it's the cost of the internet in South Africa?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I think it's to do with the cost of data and the cost of broadband and things like that being very high still. I think when that comes down and the cost of smartphones and smart devices comes down, we'll see more and more people shopping online.
All right. Now, what sectors of e-commerce are the most popular with South Africans?
At the moment, it's actually quite generic. It's Kalahari, which is mostly kind of books and things like that. And then we've got Groupon. So looking for deals, we've got Bid or Buy, Take a Lot, CompuTickets, so a lot of buying of kind of cinema tickets and things like that, and events tickets and things like that. So it's a range.
You say it's a range. Do you know why South Africans prefer their own e-commerce sites as opposed to international ones? I'm thinking there's like Amazon.com internationally, which is really popular. Why not that?
I think it's to do with firstly the cost of the delivery. There's normally an additional fee for ordering from overseas, and the time to wait. Most South Africans expect the delivery within 10 days. So I think it's to do with that, and obviously offering local products as well. So I think what they do is they look for technology stuff on overseas sites, but the rest they're happy to do locally.
All right. Are there regions that shop more than others online?
Definitely. Gauteng takes the cake there. Obviously, we're not surprisingly, with most of the higher income there. They represent about 50% of the online e-commerce users, and then Cape Town and the Western Cape with 22%, and then KZN. So it's kind of reflecting where the populations are and the income levels. So.
And do you know what the picture looks like, let's say, across the rest of the African continent as compared to South Africa?
We've at Effective Measure, we've just launched in Nigeria and Kenya and Zimbabwe. So we're going to be running something similar in those markets to be able to then start to show trends versus South Africa. And we also in other markets as well. So we're going to start to trying to do some comparisons with our other developing world markets too. So that we're looking to do in the next 6 months or so.
All right, Alan Morrissey from Effective Measure South Africa, thank you very much for being a part of our network tonight.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's take a look at what some people have been sharing in social media. The leader of Inkatha Freedom Party IFP, Mangosuthu Buthelezi, delivered the party's manifesto today. This is ahead of South Africa's May 7 elections. It became one of the topics many were sharing in social media. Last night in Durban's International Convention Centre, the Metro FM Music Awards took place. At some point, the hashtag MMA13 was the most tweeted hashtag in the world. Celebrities were also sharing their pics of what they were wearing. Danny Kaye here is showing fans his first Metro FM award ever. That's all we have for you. Remember to find us on SABC Network on Facebook and Twitter, News Network at sabc.co.za on email. The video we leave you with is probably the future of exam cheating. To find it on YouTube, type exam cheating technology in Japan. From me and the rest of the team, have a good one.